Hi everyone. Sorry, just listening to our sort of chit-chat there. It's my pleasure to introduce Nick Hounsfield, who has been a pioneer in blue health and has obviously opened one of the most unique blue spaces in the UK in the form of the Wave. And yeah, Nick, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you everyone. I'm going to put some make my apologies straight up. Last year I had a massive stroke and I lost all ability to speak, and so this is one of my first proper meetings with people. So if I fumble a bit and I need to come and go and sit down for a bit, then just bear with me. But hopefully that won't happen. And also huge respect for everybody who's been speaking the last day or so, and particularly people who English isn't their main language. Watching that and the passion that's coming through, even though it could be a second language, is truly remarkable. So thanks. And thanks to ISTO and obviously the Wave Project for hosting this event. It's been really great. Thank you. So let's talk about the Wave. Blue Health on Tap is something that I've been coining it. So bit of background, so I'm founder and CVO of The Wave and also chairman of Surfing England. I've been a surfer for maybe 45 years, absolutely love surfing. It is 100% my life. And my background is actually in healthcare, so I was working in healthcare for about 18 years as an osteopath, trying to bring together, help people with their health and well-being, physically, mentally, and I realised that there was a real growing problem of people not being outside as much, not connected to green and blue spaces, and realised that that was actually a really big part of why they were unhealthy. It was at a time of the city riots in Bristol, and also could see that there was a real disconnect of generations. There were elderly people feeling like they were going to get mugged just down the road because they've been reading the Daily Mail, and then there are young people feeling like they're really excluded from society and starting to feel like they're dropping out. I started to create a vision of how we could bring all of these problems together and try and solve them. So it was about 10 years in the making when I first started to think about actually a green space with something blue in the middle. And I just looked on the internet one day, and that day was released a technology, waveguard technology, and they showed a perfect wave breaking down a lake. And I was like, oh my God, that just blew my mind. And then suddenly all the jigsaw puzzles started to fit. But fundamentally, I guess a personal purpose, which is I just wanted to help people. I've always just wanted to do that, have fun along the way. Make an impact, a quantifiable impact, and share more the stoke of surfing. That's just what I wanted to do, and that became then my northern light. And then started to do a few sketches, and turning this into this place, which was it's my happy place, but we're doing some really cool stuff in this lake that we've created all together. And fundamentally, I started working with this guy called Chris Hines. We sat down and we actually wrote down the very first thing we did was sit down and wrote our sustainability policy before I actually did a business model or plan. I was probably better at that than business modeling anyway. But fundamentally wanted to set out a business that absolutely cared for the people, absolutely cared about the planet, and obviously needed to make profit in the process because we had to raise nigh on £27 million to build this thing. So we had to be profit making, but with a real purpose. So I started the journey, had 500 quid, had no idea, no team, no land, no technology, and didn't have a care in the world. I wish. But we together, we created the Wave Makers, we've created a common purpose, what we're wanting to do. So really believing in the power of surfing, waves, the outdoors, to positively change lives mentally, physically, socially, environmentally. And we want to share that with people of all ages, all backgrounds, and all abilities. And why wave pools? I'm going to have a sip. They're inland. I mean, listening to the presentation yesterday about Germany and how landlocked so many places are, with a real wish to try and share that stoke. You know, I take my hat off completely to you. And the ability for us to be able to do something inland and start to reach out to those communities, I think is something that we should get a part of. I think personally, I think it's a really exciting space to work in. A lot of the social issues are actually happening in those towns, and they actually don't have any connection to oceans, waves, blue water, and how crazy that would be to bring them to all these places around the world. Yeah, that urban setting, actually access to different demographics, and never being constrained by, it's a really consistent atmosphere, place that we create. So therefore, we're having to, we can change the wave settings, bring people of all abilities into a space. And also, we can build them so that we're removing physical barriers. So particularly in the Wave Bristol, the first thing we did with the architects is sat down with the adaptive surf community and said, right, if you were to design this place for your own sake and for about 50 to 100 people all visiting all at once, what would this space need to look like? What would it need to provide? And we made sure that that was planned from the start so that it's not just ticking some boxes, but actually is a place that people feel incredibly accepted into. Year one was something else. We learnt so much year one, and we had to learn fast. We went from having a core team of probably about 10, 15 of us to 300 within about a month. And that absolutely, really provided some challenges. Challenges culturally, had this vision, this perfect vision, of course, of how everything's going to go and how everything's going to run, and the people are involved. And luckily, I'd been sort of in this space for a while. We had a lot of followers who were coming on board, really passionate about the vision and the way we were wanting to do that. But the reality of what we created, and then suddenly the expectation of the entire world on us, it felt like, maybe not the entire world, but it felt like it weighed pretty heavy on our shoulders quite a lot of the time. We obviously hit COVID, which was tricky because we'd been open for one winter, then we had to close through the whole summer and spring, and then deliver another winter. And we were getting bankrupt. Honestly, we borrowed 27 million quid, and we were only open for 2 winters. And that was really, really challenging. But we bounced back, and that sounds like a horrible Boris kind of thing to say. It's we took it in our stride, and we're still here, and actually now, thank goodness, flourishing heavily. And yeah, like I said, I managed to fit a stroke in on the way. So despite the challenges though, we ran 2 pilot projects in our first year. So one with these guys called the Wave Project. I don't know if any of you have heard of them. But yeah, they've been amazing. I mean, Joe's been supporting everything from the inception, and literally even in the planning meeting was there making representation about how important the Wave could be as a facility. So again, thank you so much, Joe. And we've been keeping in contact all through the years, and it's so great that we're actually delivering stuff that we deliver, that we've dreamed of, all that way back. We also did the NHS Recovery Through Sport programme, which was for people with early stage psychosis. And the feedback was great, and we proved the concept in really tricky circumstances. And so now, where are we now? So we've got real clear focus of what we're wanting to achieve. I had about probably about 6 months of going, we should set up as a CIC and a charity, and it suddenly went, wait a second, we're wanting to be a company who has a purpose. If we start putting everything at arm's length in a different organisation, then we've kind of proved that we can't do it. So actually, let's be an out-and-out profit-making company, but absolutely with a very, very strong purpose. So I got a whole team together, and me coming back from my stroke was about focusing 100% on that social purpose. And we've got those 3 strands that we're working over the next couple of years. Waves for growth, so developing our adaptive surfing community. Waves of change, which is proactively bringing surfing to more women and BAME communities. And waves of support, so focusing on mental health, vulnerable groups, particularly those who've been affected by the pandemic. So what have we been doing? We also wrote this report. It was actually just before I had the stroke. The irony was not lost on me. It was basically pulling together all of the research evidence that there is around Blue Health and how we can put it together in a document, so also we can go to funders, investors, partners, and be able to open up a new dialogue around Blue Health. So we released that, I think January last year. And we've been doing, so we're now on our 4th season 4 of our Wave project, which is amazing. We started off with a tight group on one side of the lake. Now it's expanded to 2 sides, and also we're delivering a surf club at the end of a session as well, so that once they've actually got surfing, there's such a great camaraderie that we wanted to make sure that that just continues and try to keep people surfing rather than 6 weeks and then stop. And actually one thing I really noticed, particularly recently, I've not been able to surf, amazing the support network of the parents. So apparently normally down by the beach, they kind of drop the kids off, get into the car, probably scrolling through their phones, all the rest of it, then get out. Whereas at the Wave, they're all on the shoreline, getting a cup of coffee, maybe a beer, and then actually having conversations together. And apparently the support network is so valuable, even more so than the interaction with the kids, which is something that we were really surprised at. We delivered the English Adaptive Championships twice, and also this year we also managed to get a whole load of new adaptive surfers trying it out for the first time, and I think that it was probably that was the highlight of the whole day. But we want to then also bring the World Championships next year, fingers crossed. I'm going to have a quick one. I think there was a question about this in terms of a brand that is out there trying to work in a space whereby they're breaking down some cultural barriers. So Finisterre definitely would highlight as one. This is amazing Amira, who came down 2 weeks ago as part of Open Minds Active. Open Minds Active basically take about 16 Somali women and give them a completely different experience. Sometimes they play golf, they go open water swimming, and we took them surfing, and they were able to try these different sea suits that Finisterre has developed, and they had an absolute blast. And at the same time, we managed to get Wave Wahinis came down as well, which was brilliant. Yeah, so and created an entirely women-based session, which was really good, and something that we're now going to be committing to. I need to have a word. We did the Prince's Trust this year, so we had about 16 people, vulnerable people who don't have much. What's the word? They're like struggling a little bit, don't really know where they're going in life, and we gave like an intervention of a whole week of surf school, and showed them all around the whole place, and we're able to have good conversations around actually, for me, it's like, you can do anything, like 500 quid and we've built this thing. It's like, and I'm, honestly, I'm no rocket scientist. Everyone can do that. It's just about having a really clear focus, purpose, and just constant drive for something. So important, and luckily I think about 90% of the kids said, right, they're going to start applying for jobs at the Wave. I was like, okay, that's making an impact. And then inner city schools. So we had about 120 kids from the most deprived areas in Bristol, literally couldn't pay £1 towards being able to come here. So we managed to work with some funders to then make this happen. And in fact, this little girl on the right, she'd never ever been in any kind of lake, water, never even had a bath. That she showers. She's never even had a bath. She hadn't been in a swimming pool, and a lovely moment. In fact, that is her, I think, in there. I think that's probably why I pulled this picture out. I was watching. This is my photo. I was like watching it, all happening, and she was right at the back. So all of the coaches took everyone out there. They're all around here. All the other kids. And she was left on the shoreline, literally petrified. I was like, can somebody please go and pick her up and help her into the water and reassure her and, make a space that's really, give her some trust. And I was thinking, it would be really inappropriate for me quickly to jump into my board shorts and help. I was like, what am I going to do? I was like, do I call the coaches? I can't, because they're taking all these other people. And I was like, trying to then talk to get the teachers and go, can you go and help her? Can you go and help her? And actually, bless her, this girl came all the way in, didn't catch a wave, just walked all the way in and just grabbed her hand and took her all the way out there. And to me, it was just like, that's just the most perfect moment. Me stressing, like, how's that going to happen? But that thing about trust and peer trust, and it was just such a perfect moment. Honestly, tears were streaming that day. So yeah, research is key, as we all know. That's why we're all here. I could run through all of these things, but fundamentally, it's just about building an evidence base. And we've got an amazing place to be able to do that. We're currently doing some 3D printing of prosthetics for adaptive surfing, doing this crazy project where we're getting some young kids from a tricky background into the water, live streaming their surf experience to an old people's home, and that old people's home are going straight on a microphone to encouraging them and trying to get them in the water. And then after they've done that, after a course, then we're going to bring those elderly people down and meet them for the first time, and that was like super cool. And we're honestly open and really interested about using the Wave for any kind of research basis. So the sky's the limit. So just talk to us. And what next? Yeah, basically doing more, move from just one-off sessions to doing 6-week courses, taking people through a whole surfing experience. So we've got this progression pathway now coming through, so we can actually just take people from just beginning to go right the way through as far as they want to go. Longer-term projects, and obviously collaboration, so trying to work with public and private partnerships, joint funding bids, and trying to engage corporates to come in and get involved. And of course, build the evidence for Blue Health. This is exciting. This is my other thing that I'm doing at the moment, which is building one in London. Because we've had a really successful year this year, we've got funders who are interested in now us doing 5 of these over the next 5 years. So the work's going to be cut out. But this is the most amazing spot in Enfield. We've already spoken to them. We're about to start going through a planning permission to put one in there. This is an area of huge deprivation, lots of social issues, huge amount of health issues as well. Actually, my mum was born somewhere there, but which is also quite a nice thing to bring here. and we're hoping that that will be open by around about Q1 of 2024. Is that right? Yeah. As I say, we've got big ambitions. Thankfully, we've proven the model and proven a model of being a sustainable business, both financially, from socially, and wherever we possibly can, trying to be respectful for the environment that we're putting ourselves in. And that's me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick,
Thank you.
so much for sharing and for everything you've done on that journey. I've got some questions on the app. I also note there's some people in the room who are using the app, so I might, if you want to ask in person, you can do. The first question I know is not in the room. Actually, this comes from Joel in Australia, and I just want a big shout out to anyone who is watching live now at a ungodly hour like 2 a.m. like it is currently in Sydney. So, yeah, big shout out. Just from your experience, Nick, do you think surf therapy participants can gain the same psychological benefits from a wave pool environment as they can in the ocean?
Well, that's, I was talking to somebody yesterday about actually the next step in trying to compare the two and actually get some research off the back of that. You know, I think the reality from my perspective is actually it's the waves and the quality of the water is really important. You know, I know that there are some places where you can go and surf in an inland space and they are quite green and dirty and all the rest of it. And I think the clarity of the water is really important. The sound of the water, like if you ever have been here, it's really quiet. So actually all you hear is crashing waves or people having fun. So it's a really evocative atmosphere. Yeah, is it? I mean, it's just different, but they both fulfil. I think they both fulfil an impact on people's health and well-being, particularly psychologically. I really do that. Yeah.
Thank you. Yvette, do you want to ask this one in person or?
Okay. Thank you. Hey Nick.
Hello.
Great speech. So we've talked about this before, and I'm just going to put that question out there again.
Mm-hmm.
With running the amazing programs that you do, obviously with the marginalised communities, and you know you've had us up there as well, like on 2 occasions. How do you see that being a long-term thing from a financial perspective? Just because, you know, I know certainly with our girls group, when we came up, you gave us a really good rate. We then discounted that further for our members because it felt really expensive to then come up and drive all that way. So I'm just wondering on a long-term basis whether there's any movement for having subsidised sessions for those groups, because I guess they've done a 6-week course or 8-week course, and then it's like, boom, that's finished. If you want to come again, it's X amount. So I'm just, financially.
Yeah. It's the reality is that we're proving the model as we go along, and you know, we don't have like the perfect model yet, but we fundamentally just had to get something going. You know, I was talking to Chris Hines probably about 4 or 5 months ago. I was like, I've really got a real big issue that we don't have enough BAME community in the lake yet. It really annoys me. And I was like, well, okay, let's just do one this week. Just aim for changing one person. And so yeah, just put the feelers out, sorted out them being able to come, and we you know, they came along and they brought their family, and then that started to grow. And I'm totally avoiding your question, so I'm going to come straight back. From a finance point of view, you know, we have to be careful that we're not doing a disservice to the people who've helped and took the risk on making this. What we've found instead, what I don't like and the team don't like, is this idea that we're making lots of profit and then we're kind of giving it away to people. That's like a very old Victorian model in terms of almost sort of I don't know, like sort of charitable giving. almost to try and appease the guilt of making profit. That's what we're trying to break the mold of. So what we've been trying to do now is do a bit of means testing. So we go, right, you know, nobody at all should not be able to come to this place. It's just starting to work out, all right, will that cost them nothing? £5, £15, £25, 10% off, full price. And what we're then going, right, what's your barrier to entry? So say, for instance, it's we can only afford £15. It's like, okay, then we'll work £15, but what we're probably going to do is go away and find some funders to come and help support, so that we get a bit of contribution towards just running the place, just to make sure that we're sustainable, bring some funders together, because this is a very, very attractive proposition. It's very sellable to a lot of corporates and funders. So let's bring everybody together. And so what we're finding now is we're becoming just a big matchmaking. We're probably, I won't call us Tinder, but it's like, but we're bringing people together and realize, let's not go down that model of being CIC, all the rest of it, and become part of that rat race of trying to get funding in. Let's just team people up. We'll just use this place as a panacea for their health. And then let's just bring together funders who really want to be a part of this and people who can really benefit from that space. And I think ultimately it's just a conversation that's just going to be ongoing. So it should never, ever be a barrier, but we just need to work that out. And then we'll start to get some kind of program that we can then go, right, I think this is the sweet spot, and then just work and refine that. Yeah.
I've got two questions. I'm going to kind of put them together because they're about the same thing. One is very generally, someone wanted to hear a lot more about the intergenerational projects. That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
And then I've just got a specific question which has the fingerprints of a researcher all over it. But yeah, just asking about the ethical considerations around that project. So you just generally want to hear a bit more about it, but also what were the ethical considerations around running that?
I'm not going to be able to get right into the detail because I'm not close to that kind of detail. With that, so we're working with researchers. Actually, most importantly, ISTO Britain, who I think is going to be speaking tomorrow, which is great. So she's one of my dearest friends, also as an ambassador for the Wave. And she's been starting to work with a couple of my other friends about putting the research proposals together, those kind of ethical considerations. They're all in there, and I would imagine we'll probably get the first bit of research, I would imagine like Q1 next year, something like that, so that you can delve into it. So everything that we're doing, what we want to do is just update that Blue Health project and just, just keep pumping it with more and more and more information so we can just share it. Yeah.
Awesome. Have we got any questions in the room? Wow. No?
Stupid question. I love them.
Thanks a lot, Nick, for the presentation. I see the kids wearing wetsuits, and I was just wondering, what's the temperature of the water like?
Yeah, changeable. Yeah, so the coldest it got last year, luckily we weren't, we weren't open because it was COVID, got down to about 2 degrees. It's like super cold. So we don't, so nobody surfs below 5 degrees. That's our sort of health and safety level. Is like, no, we just don't do that. And particularly kids. I mean, if you've got adults who are constantly surfing the waves and all the rest of it, and getting a sweat on and all the rest of it, it's fine. But obviously, young kids, they just can't tolerate that kind of level. And then, probably it's topped out this year at about I think it was 27.8 degrees. So, wasn't refreshing at all. It was, board shorts and just going, I just need a drink of water now. You can drink that water as well, so that's quite good. But it wasn't warm. It was too warm to even drink. So it's really, because it's a shallow body of water, it gets hot quickly, it gets cold quickly. Yeah.
So some of the guys in Puerto Rico were talking about all the benefits, obviously, of surf therapy. And one thing was being in the sea and that kind of salt water and mineral effects on the skin and being absorbed and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
What is the water in your kind of in the wave? Is it kind of salt water or chlorinated water?
It's this.
Just
it's
fresh
tap water.
Tap water. Okay.
Yeah. So just in fact, just on the edge here, we've got a four-part filtration unit. So it goes through normal sand filters. It then goes through UV tubes, ozone, and then ends up dosing back up to with chlorine to around about the same level as tap water. Yep.
Okay. And the other thing I just wanted to ask is, obviously you're doing research into getting the evidence base for surf therapy in a wave pool. It would be interesting to see that compared to that of the sea and see if it is to do with the sea or whether it, like you were saying, to do with the feel and the open space and all of that. And is that something you'll be doing as well, kind of comparing the effects of wave pool to
that would be
surfing
great.
in the sea?
Yeah, and obviously, for instance, the Wave Project do tons in the sea. We're starting to we've now got four groups of cohorts of people who've come through this. There's a real chance to then go, right, actually what's worked well. So for instance, I'm just throwing this out there, but one of the things is right now in this picture, you can just turn the waves off. So for some people who's really, really worried about the waves and all the rest of it, yeah, you definitely, it's something great about being in the water and having to overcome fears. People can overcome fears here, but also if there's a stop button and being able to reassure people, you're totally safe. There's a lifeguard here, there's a lifeguard here, there's a lifeguard there, and there's a big stop button there, and you're in the water with a whole load of volunteers. Actually, that starts to reduce people's anxiety around it. And that again is just it's just different. But I think if ever you come and visit this, once you're in the water, it's still playful, fun. It's got an energy to it. It's got really nice etiquette most of the time in there. As long as I'm not in the water. No, I'm kidding. And yeah, so it is just taking a slice of the ocean and just putting it in Greenfield. Yeah.
Also, on that comparison note, the Hoover chat is popping off with researcher offers to make that comparison. I don't know if that's because they're hoping for a shot or not, but are you okay for one more question?
Yeah, of course.
A question and just a reflection on great job, Nick. Amazing work over the last few years. I've seen the journey and incredible commitment. So yeah, in huge admiration of what you've done.
Thank you.
And it's a great facility, and I really enjoy surfing there. And to the first question, I think it's sort of complementary to the ocean experience. These two are two really important parts of giving people access to water. And just to follow on from Alice's sort of question on the briny sea we have out there and the fresh water in the lake. Any sort of thoughts of those inner city kids, those hard to reach groups coming to the lake and then coming to the ocean afterwards in a sort of a stepping stone project?
Yeah, I haven't thought about that, but that's entirely possible. Yeah, if you start thinking about, again, like our colleagues from Germany who like traveling all the way up to Sylt to do that for a 7-day residential, it's not beyond the wit of anybody to be able to go, let's, a stepping stone out there. Yeah, I dig the thought of that, definitely. Yeah.
Cool, well done, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
Nick, thank you so much, and
Pleasure.
I'm sure there might be other questions. Please, as we've been saying all along, put them on the Hoover app, and I'm sure, Nick, you can have a quick look when you've got a minute.
Will do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for that, Nick. I remember the beer we had actually in Bristol when we were sat there and talking about this, and you were preparing your plans for the wave, and I was saying, well, when you do it, I want to have a wave project branch there, and you're saying, yeah, of course you can. I was thinking, no, he's never gonna let me, is he? And then, and you did, so which is amazing. So thank you very much. And so yeah, everything you've achieved has been fantastic. Great to see. Well, I'm super excited about this next bit. Do we just need a minute? Okay, I'm just going to keep talking. I'm going to be super excited, but a bit slower with my super excitement, because we do have our children's panel in a minute. But before we do, I just noted down, I think it's been, first of all, you know, it's been a massive privilege for us at the Wave Project to host this event and to have everyone here, you know, different programs, different people, such expertise and passion, you know, and, you know, so I'm really grateful to everyone who's come, everyone who's tuned in, like Jamie was saying, you know, some cases, you know, 2 o'clock in the morning to watch. So thanks so much. I think it's been a brilliant conference so far, and really looking forward to the last session today and our speakers tomorrow. I mean, this is just my personal reflection, right, while we're waiting for the next session. But there's a couple of things I've noted down on my sort of phone here that I just wanted to share with you guys, because I think there's a couple of themes that have sort of come out for me that kind of cuts across what everyone's been saying. First theme has been something around consistency and coming up with programs that are, you know, that give our beneficiaries consistency. That's been quite a big takeaway for me, and how do we do that? And then something about honesty and integrity as well. I think, you know, it's been really great to hear the passion of different speakers, and it kind of ties up to another theme around giving and volunteering. I've been so impressed with how many projects, you know, people are just giving their time. People like Tice yesterday. There's Mesa today. You know, there's kind of quite a big emphasis on, you know, how much time you guys give to make these projects happen, and I think that's a really important thing to remember. Just looking anxiously to see if we've got any. And I think the final thing that has really come across to me is like a sense of gratitude. You know, gratitude from like us as people delivering, and you know, there seems to be kind of, where surf therapy works well, there seems to be a kind of this mutual gratitude between the practitioners, the volunteers, the participants. Seems to be almost like a circle. So anyway, I just thought I would share those thoughts with you. So it's just a couple of little takeaways.
Waiting for someone to join us online, so they haven't connected yet, and they're not probably likely to connect till 20 past. So if you just need to grab a glass of water, have a little wee, come back.
Okay.